trying to create in the unprecedented, never-ending times. And on a lighter note, we'll talk a little bit about what it took to pull off vlog 37 for old YeagerShots YouTube. Hey everybody, it's Yeager back here with you. Me and my good friend Renegade. He is laying beside me. You'll probably hear him panting and sneezing and tail wagging over to my left. Another short episode, these quick mini podcasts I like to do from time to time. Yeah, schedule's just basically out of the window right now. But I thought that this topic is so sort of relevant that I would do a video version for this one, which I do from time to time. And of course, it's going to be on the audio channels where everyone can listen to it as well, and wherever else it finds its way. Creating, I certainly have had issues with this, creating in a time where Roe v. Wade gets overturned, Uvalde happens. It definitely is interesting to try to make something generally happy that someone would like, and you take the temperature of the room, the country, sometimes the world, and it just does not feel like the appropriate time. I've actually have checkpoints in place if there's like a shooting where it's just such a high number of people, which is mass shootings almost daily in America. 4 more people counts as a mass shooting. Then I will not post something because it just does not feel appropriate. And this has made a lot of creators really go and think about, okay, so if this sort of thing happens so much, you don't want to marginalize any tragedy that takes place, and you want to be respectful of them. Someone's like, is this what the world even needs? Should I just switch gears altogether? In more ways than one, should I make more topical content about the things that are affecting us? Should you maybe not chase building an online platform if you're not super into it that much? You just sort of start reevaluating things and your mind's all over the place. And I realized that I really had to try to listen to people who were creating a lot and sort of in that headspace. Like I think it's a privilege to have a actual licensed therapist, but this is not a topic that I feel like if they're not making a bunch of YouTube videos, they really can dial in the words that I'm having a tough time, because it's a tough situation. Like, I'm having a tough time explaining it, but like I needed someone, either if I knew them, creators that I like with large followings, or friends who also do similar things. I definitely needed those people to chat with and to get their perspective on this thing about how it just doesn't feel appropriate to create things in the world sometimes. I never had a really good solid source to send anybody else to, which is why I'm making this video, because I feel like I will get bits and pieces of the topic sporadically from different content creators. I'm sure someone's got some podcasts like this one right here where they go over this very same thing. But my input in on this, I just kind of fell down on the side of creating is almost necessary for me. I learned in late teens, early 20s, if I did not create something, I did not feel well. And I also remembered that everything I make doesn't have to be posted, and it's okay if it is posted later on. But the thing is always like, when's a good later on? You sort of feel it, hopefully, when things can be appropriate. It doesn't have to be a tragedy that we're all aware of. It can be very personal to you, a tragedy that's happened. And I always like to flip things around, the old photographer joke of turning a negative into a positive. So many bad things, but also a row of positive things can happen. I had one of my worst days last week, and the very next day was such an amazing 180. And that has happened probably 96% of my life. And I know that stat. And for some strange odd reason, I do not accept that the tomorrow generally is better. It's just a weird thing that the brain can do sometimes. I probably for sure would have been into audio video production, even if social media did not exist. So I get asked a lot more and more, which is very interesting. This is still new to me to get asked why I post and create things, what got me into it, because a lot of those questions are coming after social media was established from the MySpace days. I would say 04, 05, 06. And when the video really hit with YouTube and video got on Facebook and Instagram, I definitely will get those questions now because people have come to the space a little bit later on in life where I've sort of been messing with this thing basically the last 20 years. I used to stop or press the stop and record button on a VCR to do my edits. So coming from that world, and now you do it on a phone, absolutely mind-blowing. 18-year-old me would faint to know how the world has advanced in technology. It to me has been something that can be quite relaxing, stressful, but relaxing, even without being aware of the shape the world could be in on some days. So to me, I could not fully leave it alone, but I could definitely maybe not share something that I've created for a while. And that has been sort of my process. I would love to know what you've probably done to deal with days like that when they take place. And I would definitely be open to any conversation about that with anyone. I just thought it was a really important thing to sort of just throw out there. Let me back up one more thing. I know I was talking about therapists earlier on, which if you can get one is fantastic. Absolutely fortunate to be if you have insurance that can cover that kind of thing. In America, our healthcare system's absolutely barbaric and brutal. Everyone does not have access to that. Hopefully you have a friend who you can trust. And some of us have friends who are also maybe somewhat of therapists, like I've been fortunate to come across here recently. So I have hopefully not been taking advantage of them and and their expertise because we are friends, but it has been so huge to me to have someone to talk to who is also a creator, and that word niche comes up there, who kind of is experiencing things along the same lines. Just like you might get a doctor you don't really vibe with, you can get someone in therapy you don't really vibe with, from what I'm told, since I've never done it officially, only through having a great support system, which I've been fortunate to have multiple people in my support system. So I'm almost tearing up just thinking about it. I have been super lucky to generally have someone to talk to for most of time, and still adding people too, which is fascinating. Like my friend who's sort of like my new de facto therapist, I've only known for months and already kind of in a place where I feel like we can talk about anything. So topics like this can come up. We can be deathly serious and then talk about how adorable bats are. They are super cute. They have such a bad rap. Vlog 37, WP Rushmore basically hosted a tour of his renovated house. Oh my God, I did it again. I promised myself I wouldn't say the word flip, because flip means to get it, remodel, and sell. He did not sell. He's living there, and it is such a gorgeous space. I said it's the bachelor pad, the hangout spot. Most importantly, a home, which I'm so proud of that line in the video. I thought it up on the drive over, and I happened to remember it. I'm terrible at remembering things. I sometimes can focus intensely, and boy, I cannot focus intensely and remember anything from 3 seconds earlier. So I'm glad I really remembered that one. The video's been super well received. I am upset that I messed up so many shots to me, and I made it a vlog kind of as an afterthought. I was wondering if I needed like a gimbal to maybe put it on, but gimbals kind of get my way and slow me down sometimes, more often than not. Especially at a live event, something like this, it probably would have been a-okay, but I'm just not gonna invest hundreds into a gimbal that I may touch once a year. It is, that is not gonna ever make money back. So I did handheld, 24 frames per second, 60 frames per second on the Sony A7 IV, 35 millimeter lens, so 1.8. I used a 50 millimeter Minolta 1.4 lens for some of the still shots and close-ups to get that crazy bokeh that does not have a good fall off. I realized the bokeh kind of runs straight through the lens, so you have to be kind of careful with it, but I just fell in love with this lens. It's my first time really using a 50, the old nifty 50. Sort of my first time using a prime 35. Prime 50, 85 is always my favorite. 85 is still there. The 35 is getting around for the money. And I used to say the 50 is such a boring, 50 millimeters so boring to use. And I've just completely shut up about it because sometimes you need it to look like the eye appears. I mean, how the eye perceives things, and the 50 does that. You need it to be that. And it's a manual lens, but with the Sony and the ability to like zoom in, and with focus peaking where area will turn blue to know exactly what it is, what you have in focus. And they also have the sort of checkerboard effect thing in A7 IV, which I had not used. I find that the focus peaking is way a lot of words, more convenient, more usable, more functional, much better to key in on just a quick glance with that. I should know this board effect. I haven't used the feature in the camera sitting right beside me. You know that the blue is behind you and things in red, orange, or in front, and the thing in focus will sort of be clear and not be obstructed. Okay, that they can work, but I'm using such shallow depths of field. I really need to zero in. So one more reason that focus peaking is probably much better for me. And you can change the color of your focus peaking too. It doesn't have to be these little blue areas. Wish I had a video visual aid. Thanks to Becky and Chris. Becky basically put out a video on still photos in homes and home tours. I don't want to talk like we spoke or anything now. I just watched her videos, and boy, I had no idea how to make sort of a home tour video until I watched her break it down. Zero clue. I watched on the weekend, really 2 or 3 times over a week. I took time to watch videos on those topics, and I watched videos that like Vanity Fair, somebody else, and I think one's like home, something dedicated to homes. I can't remember the names of those. I'm so not in that world. It's so new to me now. I just got a sample size of videos in the teens and was like, how do you put these together? How do you edit them? I feel like me and Renegade can mimic a lot of stuff, but we need to know kind of what the vibe is. Like when you do a shoe try on haul, on feet's a big deal to get. They're just things of the genre to get. So for example, when Deli's talking about what he's talking about, the radio player, your instinct is to go walk over to the radio player while he's talking, but don't do that. Leave the camera on him as the centerpiece and build in enough time to go back, shoot your B-roll, sometimes even freaking C-roll. Nobody really says that, but really the B-roll is going to be the 60 frames per second slowed down. Those are going to be the close-ups, and we will layer those in on the edit as he's talking to have something to cut away to. And it turned out, it's the first time I ever did it, there was a flow to it to get into. I did not realize, it's like a happy accident. I didn't realize just how well it would go together, because I just never had to do that before. I've never had to shoot someone for a vlog and then go back and do B-roll. I've done scripted stuff, and so I understand the concept of getting pickups and going back and getting coverage of things. I totally get that, but I have not done that in literally years. I have not done that. Most B-roll I get is already known to get. So the other trick there was I didn't know where a conversation could go, so I had to go back, hopefully remember. And some things I did not remember, like the bathtub. It's not a great shot of his bathtub, as I just did not remember to get some slow-mo B-roll coverage of that. But that's kind of one out of, I don't know, however many things he touched on. And there was so much good stuff. I actually had to leave things out, and I didn't want to give away the exact neighborhood and street address for privacy reasons. Didn't want to dox him, and I didn't want to give away it's exactly the layout of the house. So anybody who's been in the space would know that there are rooms, walls, sections that haven't really been talked about, and the layout of entering, how it goes, you can't quite piece it together 100% from the video. So that is very deliberate to leave a step out of there. But it was such a fun experience. I know I probably won't do a home tour again, but I think in 48 hours I might be shooting in another home. So I am gonna see how that all comes together, and if it's cool, we will definitely show it to you. Me and Renegade, as he's sleeping. I'm going over time. Hopefully the yammering on didn't put anybody to sleep. I mean, thanks for hanging out for a little bit. Rennie, anything you want to say? Photos over at Yeager_shots on Instagram. The Instagram algorithm, pooey for stills, but mine was never all that fantastic. But I'm still going to keep rolling with us. I'll still post. I kind of come down on that side. I know Vero is starting to get traction and things like that, but we shall see. We'll let the bigger influencers influence people to go over there, and then I'll take a look at that space. Not exactly been Mr. Photo Upload. I feel like it's so bizarre. I feel like I've definitely been more of a video content creator because I effing have been. I saw someone who was telling me how I don't need a video-centric camera, and I was so confused, and they could see the look on my face, not knowing why it was like balling up my forehead. It's like, I am definitely more of a video creator than still photo and graphic designer at this point. Almost to the point where sometimes I forget just how much photos and video and graphic design, photo and graphic design stuff that I am also a doer of, for lack of a better way to phrase that. It's getting late, so I'm slurring up words. So yes, everybody, sorry it's taking so long. I like to do the podcast when I have something to talk about, and this one was weighing on me. When they start hanging on a few days with my bad memory, and I keep remembering, it's like, okay, I want to talk to y'all about it. So everyone, let me know if you liked the podcast. Let me know if you liked listening here on YouTube or Facebook, Instagram, wherever I post this bad boy. Follow, I don't know, in your favorite podcast catcher of choice. I remember I used to have to send out links, but now just subscribe in for to say iMusic, for to say iTunes, is Apple Podcasts, it's Spotify, Amazon. We're over there. We're in all the podcast catchers, man. We're over there. So follow along to whenever the world we get back here podcasting. This is definitely going against everything I'm taught about consistency. But we've been podcasting since 2008, so whatever. We're grandfathers at this point. We'll do whatever we want. We don't care about that. This podcast is never going to be monetized. All right, everybody. Enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with us. Me and Renegade. That's what he just said. I will speak with you all a little bit later on, this thing we call life.